Rochdale have appointed Carl Forster as head coach ahead of the 2019 season. Forster joins the Hornets from Whitehaven, where he's been a player coach for 2 seasons at the recreation ground. The 26-year-old made a number of dual registration appearances for Rochdale during the 2013 League One campaign.
Obviously, like when Kilshaw went, the structure was different for next year. The Rochdale were all but relegated. We'll talk a little bit later on that they're not, and they've done a fantastic job to close the season out. But Kilshaw, who's leaving there now, needs a job still, as far as I'm aware. And do you know where I think might be a good fit?
Where?
The Widnes Vikings.
Ah, interesting call. Yeah.
He's done the lower leagues. He has also had, in the past, been responsible for young players.
Yeah.
And then on top of all of that, he's used to putting the squad together in challenging financial circumstances.
Yeah.
If I was James Rule, I'd be making my last job at Widnes before I resign and give the fans what they want. The appointment of Alan Kilshaw. So there you go. But Carl Forster, congratulations to him, stepping up a level effectively by moving into the Championship, which is where Rochdale will be playing next year. So I think he's earned it. Very young head coach. I wonder if he'll still play next year, but we'll wait and see.
Yeah. Huddersfield youngster Sam Wood will join Batley on loan for the 2019 season. The 21-year-old has made 6 appearances for the Giants this season and played 21st team games in total since making his debut in 2016.
Dewsbury coach Neil Kelly will leave the Rams at the end of the season due to personal reasons. Kelly was appointed head coach of the Rams midway through 2017 and has guided them to championship safety 2 years on the spin. Also leaving the club will be assistant Paul Delaney, who's been Kelly's right-hand man for the last 18 months. And someone got in touch on this one, Sarah.
Yep, Shoddy Amungo. Alan said, I think Kelly has done a great job at Dewsbury, turning a relegation candidate into a team holding its own in the championship on modest resources.
Yep. The Leeds Rhinos under 21, Featherstone Rovers have signed young forward Spencer Darley from Leeds for the 2019 season. Rovers have handed the 20-year-old his first ever senior contract.
Yep. Ryan Johnston has signed a new 2-year deal at Barrow, keeping him at the Raiders until the end of the 2020 season.
Quite quiet week for League One. And finally, Hull Kingston Rovers captain Sean Lunt is in hospital with a serious infection, the club has confirmed. Lunt, who's 31, was taken to hospital on Thursday and is undergoing treatment that will rule him out for the rest of the season. But thankfully for him and his side, the season is now successfully complete. They're back in Super League. But a club statement said Lunt was taken into hospital yesterday and is currently being treated whilst undergoing further tests, with the club's medical staff and player welfare manager closely supporting Sean and his family during his recovery. Everybody connected to Hull Kingston Rovers wishes Sean all the best for a speedy recovery, and we look forward to welcoming him back for pre-season training in November. Tom Andrews at Tom_HKR said, wouldn't wish this on any player, but to happen to one of the gentlemen of the game, a family man, is so sad. Hope you can come through this and come back as the great player you are, Sean. Yeah, I think we all echo those sentiments completely.
Definitely. I mean, it is looking very positive. I don't know if you saw over the weekend, but he was back tweeting and saying he was feeling a lot better and everything.
It's sweet, I think, or it's gonna be sweet, I think is one of the things he said, something along that, which is great. It's a cheery way to sort of round out a very scary and serious story, isn't it? That he's being kept, his spirits are high, his teammates are visiting him. We're sort of is sharing that journey with us, all the fans, to make sure we're reassured, and because we don't want to see serious illnesses hit any of our heroes, whether they play in the colours that we wear or the colours that our rivals wear.
This is it. When it comes to something like this, it's bigger than the teams, isn't it?
Exactly, and it's when the rugby league family shows its real heart and its real value. So good luck in your recovery to Sean Lunt. Okay, that is a very, very hefty news section out of the way. We're going to try and not be as hefty on the Super 8's match reviews now. Super 8's match reviews now, sponsored by Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. Find a wide range of toys, gifts, rugby league birthday cards and more at Rob's Toy Shop on eBay. Visit stores.ebay.co.uk/Rob's Toy Shop, and on any orders over £5 you can earn 5% cash back, and also 1% of your order value will go into the SLP coffers. To make sure you get that, you put SLP discount at checkout. Check out. Look at the blog on superleaguepod.com for episode 201, and you'll see the links to all of that there and information about how to get your cash back. And obviously, a big thanks again to Rob for donating some prizes towards the tombola for the Myton under 10s. Now they are, aren't they?
They are. Yeah, I gave him a few shout outs about it, so hopefully he'll get lots of orders.
Yep, and everyone who needs stationery and new calendars for the next year and that sort of thing, and diaries, Rob has them on his toy shop too, so check that out. Okay, it was round 7 of the Super League Super 8, Sarah, and the average attendance was 8,205, which is actually the second lowest of the 7 rounds, but yes, healthy still, I would suggest, given that not many of these games had, well, there wasn't really any real consequences from what the action was over this weekend. We're going to rattle through these ones. We're going to start St Helens 26, Castleford 0. It was 18-0 to the Saints at half-time. 9,813 were on. Scott Michalauskas was the referee, and we just got the one fan review in, Sarah.
Yeah, Fat Boy Rob, he was a happy bunny, and he said, well, that was shite. I've been home and away for 28 years and can't remember a nilling before. If I'm honest, we could have played for another 80 minutes and not scored. Saints played very well, but don't let that paper over a piss-poor effort from the former champions. I'm that disheartened, I'm downgrading my semi-final prediction to a 13-point win for the Tigers when we travel to Cheaty McCheat Town on Friday. #COYS.
Yeah, so nothing from any Saints fans, but looks like a relatively convincing win for them. Some of the young forwards kind of leading the way with tries. Matty Lees and Morgan Knowles. Ben Barber showing that he's found form again, which is pretty frustrating for the rest of us in the semi-finals, given how good he was at the start of the year last time he was in form. The only thing to note, I think, Sarah, is who the omissions were, really, from both of these sides, from what's likely to line up next weekend. So for Saints, James Roby did come back, so getting some match fitness back in his legs, but there was no Luke Thompson, there was no Johnny Lomax, there was no Mark Percival, there was no John Wilkin. You would expect most of those to come back in next week, if not all of them, so interesting. It looks like they're going into this pretty good fitness St Helens, whereas for Castleford, it looks like Michael Shenton and Greg Eden were taken out of the firing line, possibly nursing through some things, and they are serious strike weapons for the Tigers that will really change their attack around from being a shite attack that Rob saw on Friday night to what will be their attack on the next Friday night. Jake Trim and Luke Gale did play together, trying to get that combination going, but there was a few other absentees. Oliver Holmes wasn't selected. There was no Junior Moores in this one either. So both sides, rotating and keeping things rolling over. So that's. Shall we do the stats?
Yeah.
I didn't see any highlights. I didn't bother. Teams. The stats overall don't quite reflect the one-sided scoreline. Saints only made one more break, but scored 4 tries to none, despite making one more error in a relatively high 13-12 count. They did, though, have a bit more ball and made over 200 more metres. Individually, Luke Douglas, 1 try assist, 134 metres. Tommy Makinson, 144 metres. Zeb Tyre, 139 metres and 3 successful offloads. And Kyle Amor, 1 try assist and 107 metres. I think Amor's going to be one of those people who's trying to get a place in these sides, so he's not doing himself any disservice there. For Cass, Jesse Seni Lefeo defended hard. He played in the back row in this one. 48 tackles, 11 marker tackles. James Clare, 5 tackles, 144 metres. Probably not going to be enough to see him play in the semi-finals. However, Peter Matautia, 122 metres, and Greg Minikin, 109 metres, 3 clean breaks. So it looks like most of the tough work was done in the forwards for Saints, and most of it was done in the backs for Cass. On to Wakefield versus Warrington. Sarah, it was 13-12 to Wakefield at half-time, but they couldn't capitalise on that, and it finished 36 points to 23 in favour of the visiting Warrington side. 4,479 were on for this one. Marcus Griffiths got another game at the Super League level. We didn't get any fan reviews in, which is the first. It's the first Super 8s game we haven't had any in for. So, what shall we say? According to the match reports I've read, some of the Salford forwards were in decent form. It's not Salford. Warrington. I don't know. Who cares?
Warrington beat Wakefield. If nobody's bothered to get in touch with us, then...
Yeah. Just having a look down some of the try scorers and that sort of stuff. Ben Murdoch-Masilla had a bit of a hand in things for Warrington, and Deck Patton was kicking the goals for them and kicking well. In terms of who didn't play for them, it was the halfbacks, so that's still the question area. And Cheaty McCelebrate try Ryan Atkins was playing on the wing, it seems like, by the team sheets, but not sure if that was where he lined up in the game. But it looks like they got the first choice forward pack in action at this stage going into next weekend, so it's positive for them that BMM is fit, because he's waiting for an operation, as far as I understand it, in the off season. So it's the halfbacks is the only question around them, because other than that, you'd think, and Tom Lynham, who's back from suspension, you would think that this was very similar to the lineup that we're going to see from them next week. But Harvey Levett and Deck Patton were the starting halves in this, and no Brown and no Roberts, so we'll see if those guys can be fit for the semis on Thursday. Okay, stats. The meter numbers were close, but Warrington were more threatening, making 9 breaks to 5. They also had better defensive intensity with a 3.5% better team tackle success, although that spilled over a bit into a 9-6 penalty count against them, so they wanted to be careful of that. Individually, Josh Charnley, 1 try assist, 5 tackles, 144 metres, 3 clean breaks, and Chris Hill, 113 metres. More people actually hit the stats notes for Wakefield, which suggests they had a few better performers on the night, but maybe not as consistent as a team. Joe Arundel, a try, 144 metres and 2 clean breaks. Dream Team member Bill Tupu, 117 metres. Reece Lynn, 117 metres. Probably one of the people unlucky in the Dream Team. And Tinarau Arona, 110 metres and 3 successful offloads. That must be. I've done a typo. Friday night's game as well over at Wigan, well, the one that we were both at and the one that we've had the most fan reviews in for a Super League fixture this weekend, Sarah, was Wigan versus Hull FC. Hull FC held a 12 points to 6 half-time lead, but Wigan showed some defensive fortitude in the second half, didn't concede and managed to overcome that deficit to win 14 points to 12. 11,189 were there, of which we were 2 of those 11,189. Liam Moore was the referee, and someone who was sat very close to you is the first fan review.
Yes, Dad was there, and he said 12-0 up and good value for it. Mark must have been squirming, and then we remembered we're the team who has forgotten how to win. Incomplete sets, unexplainable individual errors, and aimless kicking by Abdul let the Pies back into it. Once behind, we never threatened.
Yeah, FC Paige. Great to hear from Paige. She said, well, at least it wasn't a hammering. Time for the boys to rest up and prep for next season. Hashtag come on you Hull.
And somebody that's very close to Paige, Tom Andrews at Tom_HKR, said, so the top 4 club that would win it all this season will spend 8 months without a win by the time next year rolls round. But the fans shouldn't worry. Gaz Hock is coming to steady the ship. My money's on for Rada's first coach out next season. I've got it right for the last 2 years. Thanks to the Dullers through, though season would have been harder had they been any good. There, yeah, I think Rovers.
I think you missed a comma. Thanks to the Dullers, though, comma. Season would have been harder had they been any good. Yeah, White Pie said, I'm not sure what to say about the game other than it was possibly one of the worst games I've seen all year. Still, a win. Sorry?
If that's the worst, one of the worst games
he hasn't seen a lot of Hull games.
No.
Yeah. No. Still, a win to make us the only side to win all our Super 8s games. In other news, Jake Connor is still a monumental cockwomble, and the sooner someone flattens him, the better. Still, he was easily rattled and anonymous in the second half. He went off for a bit, didn't he?